It's so good. It's so good.
Right people, welcome back to Food Busker. Now it's January, which means you're skint because you had such a big Christmas. Yeah, no. Every year it's the same with you. You turn up, you've got no money because you overdid it. Well, it needs to stop. But listen, I've got a solution that's going to stop your bank account laughing at you. That's going to skimp on cost, but not on flavour. So I'm going to do potato gnocchi with a sage butter, and it's only going to cost 83p a portion. Come on. Right, get a baking tray, get some sea salt, and just put that down. And the reason that we're putting salt in is that the potatoes we're going to use, we want to get them as dry as possible. Soggy, moist potatoes for gnocchi, it's just not going to work. For gnocchi, you need a potato that sits in the middle of the potato spectrum between floury and waxy. And so a King Edward would work, or these Desiree potatoes are going to work a treat. Now, we put them on a bed of salt, and the salt helps to start drawing out that moisture, and when you bake it in the oven, that draws out the moisture as well, so you get this beautiful dry potato that makes great gnocchi dough. They're going in there for an hour at 200 degrees. Okay, so they've baked now for an hour. What happens is they lose some of their pink colour and they're just cooked all the way through. I'm going to let those cool down, but then when they're still warm, I'm going to slice them open and scoop out the potato. Just sit down, take your time, it's really worth the effort. Scoop them out, but don't get any skin in. Like, you can just see how absolutely dry it is. Normally that wouldn't be a good thing, but for this, it's perfect. Now, what you could do with these leftover skins is you could throw some nice oil over them, whack them in the oven on a high heat, and then be like a really nice crispy appetizer. I'm going to set those aside, and now I'm going to rice these potatoes. I'm going to use a ricer because you get a really nice mashed potato with it. It just is all really even. You could use a masher, but you might have some lumps. This avoids the lump. Now, the mash is just so exciting because it's just so light, dry and fluffy. You can just totally see how it's going to make this incredible dough now. It's still warm, which is the best way to work with it. I'm going to take that and just turn it out into this tray. So I'm going to make a bit of a well in the middle, and now I'm going to get 2 Burford brown eggs, and I'm just going to get the yolks, and I'm using Burford browns because the yolks are just so indulgent. That's going to really make this dough tastier. That's our yolks done. Now we need to get the seasoning done. Salt is absolutely vital, so we're just going to sprinkle that in. Good pinch, and then we're going to season it with some nutmeg. So just grab yourself a nutmeg. You want a good grate. And now I'm going to add my egg yolks in. Now the egg needs to be all mixed in around the potato. So just get it all that egg distributed evenly throughout the potato. And now we need 150 grams of 00 flour to add to the party, and just gradually add that in. Now the key here is not to overwork the potato dough, because then you'll activate the gluten too much, and that will result in really tough gnocchi, and that's just horrible. You want these little potato pillows of loveliness. So take your time, bring the dough together gradually. Now I can see that it's beginning to clump together, so now I'm going to turn it out onto the work surface and bring it all together. I turn it out onto the work surface because I need more space to start bringing it all together. Right, I'm rolling that into a sort of large lozenge. I'm just going to wash my hands. Now, I want my hands to be nice and clean at this point, because this is the critical point about making the dough. If you work it too much like a normal dough, then you're going to activate the gluten too much and it's going to become tough. What you want it to do is to be not too moist, so it's sticking to the surface, and your hands can feel this. And what you're feeling is it still should feel quite fluffy. It's got a bit of a bounce to it, it's coming back, but it's not overworked. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of flour down, and then I'm going to slice it, roll it, and cut it into its gnocchi shapes. Now what you've also got to be careful here is you don't put too much flour down so it dries the dough out too much. Once you've got it into this lozenge style, what you're gonna do is we're just gonna cut off some of the end bit. And like, what's so exciting about this is you can still see it's nice and delicate, it's not become tough. Now I'm gonna roll that out. Okay, that's those done. Now the next thing you need to do is we need to slice them, and we need to slice them into flour so they're covered in flour. You never want them to not have flour on them because they become sticky and they won't work. So, like this. You see, what you've got to remember is the ends are going to be still moist. If they're not covered in flour, they might stick, and then when they cook, it just won't be nice. Now, once you've got your gnocchi done, just dust off any excess flour. And then what we need to do is put some grooves into it. Not that type of groove. Honestly, what I have to work with. The grooves we need to put into it are there for a number of reasons, but the main one is that when you put them in a sauce, the grooves capture the sauce and they just make it absolutely delicious. Without the grooves, the sauce will just fall off. Now, the Italians have like a special paddle that you can roll them along to put those grooves in. The other way that it's done is you use a fork and you just press them in, and so you put it in and you drag it along and they put the grooves in. That's one way to do it. Another way that I've found is if you take your whisk and then you just basically, again, take the excess flour off, and then you can just push your whisk in and that creates a load of different grooves. Let's razzle through this lot and put the grooves in. Got my final batch of gnocchi done, got the grooves in. So I'm going to set those aside. I'm going to cook them in boiling water, but first I'm going to get the sauce that we're going to put them in. Now, this is SKINT, we're keeping the price down, so I'm just going to use a herb, sage, and a fat butter, and we're going to just bring that up, and then we're going to pan fry them in there. Oh, it's going to be so delicious. Bring your water up to the boil and then drop in your gnocchi, but just don't pack it into the pan, you need to do it in batches. As they float up to the top, give them a good sort of 10 to 15 seconds on the top, then we're going to take them out and drain them and drop them into our butter and sage. Now, because they're just these beautiful potatoes of pillar, when you put them in the hot sizzling butter, they start caramelizing slightly. So then when you eat them, you're gonna have this soaked sage butter, crispy outside and then a pillowy potato inside. Oh, it's gonna be good. Just have a quick taste. Oh my God. Like there's not me. That's so good. That is so good. It is so good. It is so, because the butter, you're essentially doing beurre noisette, which is this hazelnutty burnt butter vibe that laced over those beautiful potato pillars that have been caramelized. This is a dish for Christmas. That is genuinely delicious. It's not vegan, but it is vegetarian. It's got no meat in it, and it doesn't matter because it's so bloody good. Mate, all night long. All night long. Ah! So this is the first in a 4-part series that's saving your wallet, but making you so happy. 83p for that. 83p.
Anyone want to subscribe?
Oh yeah, subscribe to the channel, increase the piece. If you like this recipe, then please share it because it means the world to us when you subscribe or you increase the peace by spreading the love and sharing the culinary loving. And this is culinary loving. Mate, you need to put that camera down.